Ooh, what's this? Flint stick. That's a web attached to it. Fall fields. Is there a good bench? No. There are some good enemies though, but probably best to heal. Full health? Okay, that's just not fair. You know what? I should get a bench in Far Fields. Yep, this is way better. Yes! Spool fragment! Down the road it is. Well, that chaos happened. Alright, thank you for not having me deal with you for too long. Nice. No. A bucket overflowing with smoldering flintstone. Likely a. Yep. I haven't played silksong in a while in my time. Sure. You in the cloak. Pray tread softly. I'm meditating, gathering my faith before my program begins. My steps are soft enough, madame. If I disturbed you, it was not my intent. Yeah, even your speech is far too loud. I can scarcely hear my thoughts. Please stay away. Who's this guy? Oh, I feel guilty. What's been here? Hunter's Journey reading session. Moss grub, fur-covered crawler with a series of sharp spikes along its back. If not for the spikes, I would think it is an appealing bug. Now, where did it say so? Mossmere, a small fluttering creature capable of defending itself with its stinger. This slug is soft and clumsy, but it's fortunate to have its home in caves, seem relatively free of effective predators. I wonder why that is. Yeah, that might be important. It also has spikes, which is quite interesting. Why didn't they mention that? Moss Mother, adult moss mare with a fully developed stinger and hardened hide. Lost most of its spikes, kinda. Like the spikes on the head, it does not have that. Motherhood is an instinct that can push creatures beyond what seems their normal limits. It turns even weaker beasts like these into formidable foes. Interesting. Winged insect Acnid. Winged insect that feeds upon moss and lichen in the caves of Bone Bottom. In its natural state, it would avoid potential predators, but Frolm's haunting now compels it to aggression. Fortunately, its jaws are ill-suited for combat. And it can do something. A little bit. It's not the worst creature. Skull Skeletal, small soft bug that uses skulls of the marrow for protection and disguise. In every land, creatures find new and surprising ways to disguise themselves. One must be wary always. Yeah, that's fair. Skull Brute. Soft bug beneath a huge horned skull charges at intruders to protect its territory and smaller companions. Either its size has made it fearless or the haunting has removed its sense of self-preservation. Perhaps it's a mix of both. Skull Tyrant. Rare, enormous skull scuttle, the Merrill's largest predator and the most feared for its ferocious temperament. Though surely fierce, a skull bears looks taken from even larger beasts. If not for the bones as proof, I would scarcely believe bugs grow to such scale. You know how big they could get, Hornet. It doesn't matter. I need you to defeat more of these. Small bony legs that face dark tunnels can expand its spine carapace toward against attacking predators. Beastfly. Aggressive fly farms the land's rams prey with its hard-burned mask. Dancing around this simple creature as it charges back and forth is some sort of game I indulged in as a child. Alas, now I have more pressing matters to attend to. Yeah, you do. You just don't know where you are. Carnid. Oh yeah. Kilik and Beastfly. So I forgot to mention their names. Common wing bug of the lowlands, generally docile but will attack if threats come close. The plump fancy makes them well suited for target practice. Difficult to resist testing my aim on them. I would agree, if I did use my tools. Versus Carnid, aggressive wing bug of the lowlands. When angered, it rapidly rips its bladed tail as a weapon. Really rapidly. Harbone Hopper, grazing creature with sharp senses that nimbly retreats from danger. Mauling, young bony bug that can curl its body into the form of a ball. Their rough, rigid shell grips tight to any surface. Even walls and roofs become pathways for the nimble bugs. A nice explanation on how they can crawl on ceilings. Marrow Maw, giant roll of the lowlands, its hide will crush small creatures beneath it, including me! Hoker, spine shooting drifter of the lowlands. Whatever admiration I had for its fleecy down is spoiled by its destroying mask and its steely spines. Flint Beetle, rarely seen beetle that spends most of its life nestled in bone and rock. The flint gems on its shell secrete an explosive powder. Its bright gems could be used to make beautiful but short-lived jewelry. An amusing idea for a gift or a trap. Trick or treat! Here's a flint beetle! Bell Beast. Huge hard-bone bug that lives within and travels through the veins of old bells across Farloom. This one allied itself with me, either thanks for saving or respect for one judged as equal. Whichever the reason, their fellowship is welcome. Pilgrim Grovel. Basic by Farloom lay low upon the ground. Taken by Farloom's haunting, this bug is now capable of little more than prayer and aggression. I like how ironic that is, like just praying and then attacking you when you get close. You would usually not think for those to be related. Pilgrim Pouncil. Agile bug of Pilgrim, its higher functions have been lost to the haunting. With a softer shell than most, they would have relied their athleticism to survive and be annoying. Pilgrim Husk. Stadio lost to the haunting. Rules that's a snow care for its own discomfort. Yeah, that might be uncomfortable. Pilgrim Bell Weevil. Calming bug wielding a set of old bells. This bug will fling bells at anyone it deems still free. So me. Pilgrim short with underdeveloped rings. elder pilgrim. Well, consumed by a haunting thread, use a solid form to crush others. Interesting how the elder. Winged pilgrim bearer, pilgrim with large rings carrying a brace of iron bells. Pilgrim hiker. Hard shelled with a climber's pin. The pin, when aid has become an weapon, though the bug is unrefined in its use. But a knife's still a knife. A spear is still a spear. A club is still a club. And a sharp cane is still a sharp cane. Pilgrim guide. Old pilgrim carrying a heavy iron staff. Overgrown pilgrim. Aged pilgrim overgrown with lichen and moss. They really like the moss. Cove of Trust pilgrim. Strong bug with rosaries. If angled, they will lift those strings on a ceaseless onslaught. Lava lug. Stinging molus that defends itself by spraying burning fluid from growths on its back. What seems to force a purely defensive mechanism may also be necessary to rid of this creature of excess heat. That is true. Though it only does it when I'm around. Is it like, oh no, there's someone who can kill me, oh no! Smelt shoveler. Low-level worker lost to Falum's haunting. Instinct keeps them at the task, though in much simpler fashion than before. This kingdom appeals more advanced in metalwork than mine ever was. In great part due to the natural heat source at its base, working in such an environment is an impressive feat. There wasn't really any heat in Hollownest, to be honest. Like, there was fire, but only certain people used it. And that's about it. Flintstone Flyer. Area worker lost to Falum's haunting. There's a pouch full of flintstone which they will fling at intruders. The incendiary material they carry is a natural wonder with many potential applications. A waste to carelessly throw it at me whenever I pass by. Yeah, I'd rather you not do that. Flint Flame Flyer. A brave worker carrying unstable flint flame and wearing a heavy bell to protect itself against potential ignition and against my needle. Smoke rock shifter. Symbol bearing worker of the deep docks hands the holes of smoke rock to find traces of more precious materials. Huh. Fresh flit tiny creatures that huddle themselves in flocks and flee for scented danger. Furted. Skittish scrambler of the fall fields. Its antennae resemble stalks of grass to hide in camouflage. It has no means to defend itself. Its only hope for survival is to be mistaken for a plant. Very harsh. To be fair, it can be successful if you're blind. Or if you're just too far away. Flapping furted. Docile lug whose wings mimic the grazers of the fall field. Common snack for larger predators, I imagine so. Fourth chorus. Towering iron automation driven by rotor and cog. A terrifying achievement of Fallen to build a concept so large and yet so nimble. Scarlet. Small burrowing ant, service to largest scar. These work mainly as finders and foragers for the warriors of their tribe. Combat has not long been their nature. Still, they're basically just servants. Skullwing. Darting predator that clings fast to roofs and outcrops, often summoned to aid its larger companion. They would make effective hunting companions, though even without the hunting, I suspect the loyalty would always remain with You kind of look like them. If you like pretend to be them, then you can just get your cloak, just cover your face with it, and try to make the rest of yourself and like cover yourself with cotton or something. Skull Scout, young hunter and wielding sickles carved from teeth, will often call for aid if danger comes close. Despite their youth, they are impressive in permanence. It seems that likely their tribe were trained for combat from birth, except for the servants. Scar is Stalker, skilled ant hunter bearing blade and armor fashioned from bone. Fierce, strong, and disciplined, yet these qualities do not protect them from the haunting. Is such a fate inevitable in these lands? No, not everyone is haunted. Most pilgrims are. They're not pilgrims. Actually, that's kind of interesting. Most of them are pilgrims, but not all of them. Speosguard, winged hunter ant that strikes from the air with its bone lance. Even in my youth, I envied all bugs with wings. I even fancied I might grow a pair. I have since learned better. Accept the limitations of one man's body, and augment with tools as needed. Scarguard. Huge ant hunter tasked to protect the stores and passages of its tribe. Might. Venomous pests are common throughout dark corners of Greymore. Individually, they will offer little challenge, but their numbers are surely vast, and most remain hidden. No, they're verminous, not venomous. Fluttermite. Airborne pest, less common than its grounded siblings, attacks with sharp fangs if agitated. Silverbugs would gnaw away at unguarded food supplies in my homeland. As a child, I would hunt them, eager to make use of myself and test my skills. That's Hornet for you. Drag catcher. Bug charged to catch dregs of silk that fall from the citadel. Will attack with its staff as provoked. I like how separate these sentences are. Silk snipper. Says wielding bug charge to cut and spool fallen and drag the silk for return to the citadel above. I have silk. Is that why they try to cut me? Thread racker. Tall bug charged to pile silk eggs in preparation for spooling. Their sharp rake now doubles equally as a stabbing weapon. Why are simple storage bugs so powerful? Mowing. Winged might beasts bred too large to catch workers who once tried to flee their tasks. With its wranglers long dead, the mowing stalked the towers of Greymore, feasting upon pilgrims and tenders alike. Yeah, that's why you don't try to do that. Craw. Screeching scavenger that roots high in caverns and preys on passing pilgrims. By the swooping menace, a simple bug could easily be overcome. More dangerous still, they rarely attack alone. Talacraw. Rag-winged adult crawler wielding a scavenged pin. All of them have a random scavenged pin that they found somewhere. Muckroach. Star-old pack dog with an insatiable appetite. Their rough hide and pungent meat. Roaches bred rapidly so are often farmed as food. Despite their rough hide and pungent meat. Yeah, kind of sounds familiar to a certain room in Hollow Knight. Roadcatcher, short nimble bug who uses borrowed well, was to keep these coiled and caged. Roach feeder. Tall roach sent their charge to feed muckroaches on a lean diet of maggot gruel. Ugh. Roach caper. Grizzled older roach sender raided with a lasso of heavy chain. Why? Pond skipper. Hard-shelled insect common upon the surface of Shellwood Pond when it's a staple food for passing pilgrims. So they just like eating each other. Pond catcher. Old catcher over Shellwood Pond, bearing a long pin and stricken by the haunting. Once a haunter purely for food. Now they hunt unthinking and unending. Shellwood gnat. Tiny, soft creature that armors itself with the hard, hollow growths of shellwood. If the woody hide is shattered, the bug will still bravely, foolishly try to attack. I mean, it can still try. It's not the worst. Wood wasp, pointed, darting insect that builds a hardy hive from shellwood's dried bark. Destroying the hives will limit their presence in the wood. Useful to me now as I pass along the branches, dangerous in time for the wood's order. Even a small disruption can tip a fragile balance. That's an ecosystem for you. Splinter, insect formed to a branch capable of remaining perfectly still for long periods of time, but unexpectedly swift when roused. Splinterhorn, insect formed to imitate a branch, born with sharp, retractable horns atop its head. Interesting. Splinterbark, winged insect with a flaky shell that perfectly mimics its environment. Its assaults, a young bug's toy turned deadly. Could I, in time, fashion a spinning tool to match? Huh. So you want to be spinny. Sister Splinter, imposing old insect nesting in the heights of Shellwood. Her command of twig and branch assured no pilgrim will survive within her territory. This one lived long and fed much. The wood will be much safe for their slaying. Yeah. Phaecia. Just during the disguise of flower disperses crackling clouds of pollen if threatened. Quite a beautiful creature. In my own kingdom's court, it would have been highly favored as an ornamental pet. That's just so wrong in so many levels of today's society. Polynesia. Flow that reacts instinctively to movement nearby. Spits pellets of crackling pollen that burst on impact. Gallia. Flow with a core shaped to mimic a mask. The core can be thrust forth to bludgeon unwary bugs. The false mask alone is frightening enough to scare away small pests. Yep, and if it's too large, then they can just whack it, and if it's way too large, then it will just die. Firm, burrow of the nest bell vein, and seeks out hard bells to protect its soft body. I would very much like to feel the soft fur, if only they weren't so hostile. I would too. It's kind of like a hermit crab in a way. Winged fern. Winged fern's been furred bug beneath a heavy belt. It has grown too large to burrow, but its maturing has developed small wings. Huge and soft, fantastic combination, ruined by their taunted aggression. Farlid. Small arachnid found in many crevices and caves throughout Farloom. Judge. Gilded guardian of the Blasted Steppes wearing a symbol and mallet. Last Judge. Final inhibitor of the Blasted Steppes. test to ensure only the sinless ever step beyond the grand gate. The huge judge likely stood through countless generations, never defeated, never wavering in their change, until I came along. Driznit, nesting creature that fuses face with sharpened coral. Fuse? Elder Gonfly crown with a large coral hoard. Once partnered with a mate, they will rarely be seen alone. Drapefly, erratic flying pest that nests in rags and curtains. Drapemite, cough crawler with sharpened forelimbs, lives and breeds in dark places. Giant Drapemite, full-size mite of the citadel cloaked in an old curtain. Underworker, feeble servant of the underworks with a long, twist spin and hard shell. With all the refuse collapsing throughout their domain, the worker's stiff shell would be essential if they had any hope to survive. Underscrub, drained yet dedicated labor, wielding a coarse steel brush. Undersweep uses their steel bristled pin to scrub the soot from vents and pipes. Underpoke, trained worker on the verge of collapse, consumed by the haunting. They continue to work far beyond their mortal limits. They toil themselves incessantly for the citadel, their shells bent and grayed, and now the king's close means not death, not even death can relieve them. At least they're mindless. Underloafed, exhausted but grown sickly from the smog of the underworks. The workers' tryst pins, once tools of repair, now serve as spun projectiles. The cost of so much grandeur. Did I peer closely enough to the foundations of my own kingdom? No, you didn't. Undercrank, huge, hard-shelled worker, forever repairing the citadel's crumbling outworks. Those seem no ranks in their domain, yet this one has risen above the rest, a station likely gained through imitation and thuggery. Envoy, guide and oft-times leader within the citadel's choir. Choir Prancer, agile bug, and one of the few hardy programs to have reached the citadel. Except there's a lot of them. It's interesting. Citadel's choir. They don't. That's not a musical instrument. Interesting. Choir Horned, full-grown former pilgrim serving the citadel. Choir Bellbearer, winged devourer of the citadel, carrying a brace of gilded bells. Choir Flyer, aerial bug of the citadel, unarmed but for its short horn. Choir Elder, aged former pilgrim, uses their wings to position above threats and crush them under their large skull. Chorister, disciple of the choir, elevated above of other pilgrims, forced to cowl their face forevermore. They use of a pin shows hard training. Their use of silk unfurled from a spool held close shows skill far beyond standard bugs. Were they like choir defenders? Read. Disciple the cry. Your charge to maintain its perfect order by the sharp pin if necessary. A form well suited for combat, lithe and fast. No wonder it seems to rank so high amongst its cult. Giant reed, high, standing inside the choir, bearing a bow. This elite reed has trained and fed beyond its smaller followers. Claw maiden, puppet of the puppet servant of the Citadel, suspending on strings of silk, and only solar automation requires extensive silk to maintain its service. Minister, gold rank disciple of the choir, and direct servant to the Citadel's conductors. Maestro, choir commander of the High Halls, able to summon command card flies with a flick of their baton. Once they summon those songs from the subjects, now they rise only to command an end to those unstrung. How ironic. Dreg Husk. Remains of a Citadel possessed by silk dregs. The husk will lash out wildly with as many sharp pins caught inside its thread. Mortician. Altered servant of the Citadel's White Road, responsible for crematation of husks and recycling of silk from their shells. Ugh. Cogwork Underfly. Small automation built to work without complaint of the scorching heat of Underwork's cauldron, so they only care about the complaining. It's no wonder worker these constructs are cast. No mortal bug would last long inside that scorching place. Even my shell struggles to withstand its heat. When you're standing on lava, well, like magma rock. Cogwork Hollow. The small animation with a shielded shell indented to carry loads of dangerous flint flame. Cogwork Crawl. An automation built in the shape of a scuttling bug. Its bag contains retractable pins intended to cut song cylinders free of any obstruction. Cogworker. Flight animation responsible for repairing and extending the core. The effect more effective in opponent than would be gas. The precarious of its winding domain can make its even make its simple assault a challenge. Hard spines, vehicle armored legs housing many sharp spines. I cannot decipher its function to the greater core. Is it built for defense? If so, its simplicity seems far beyond optimal. Yeah, why do they exist? Firebug. Bug forged my own rotor and cog. The automation works tirelessly to maintain the core that houses it. Its core is filled with fine mechanisms, but that alone does not produce such a convincing mimic of life. Silk must also be used to animate this artiface, though how exactly, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. Quadrantine. Steam shooting automation forged to clean the core and keep it free of infestation. And in spite of the use of steam, I must remember its construction when designing future tools. Yeah, that might come in handy. Cog Defender. The car forged primarily for the core's protection. Bears a shield and poke pin that possesses a lethal understanding of their use. It has no true mind, and yet fights effectively, adjusting its strategy to my movements. What exactly are its thoughts written within? Very dynamic. Cog Jansel's animations of empathical construction. Welcome into their chamber with a display of a deadly dance. Two orthodox, and yet the soul seems singular. A sad yet masterful imitation of life imbued inside shells of iron. Penitent, humbled prisoners serving their sentence for sin committed within the Citadel. Honeypen and small bug shackled and cowered for sin committed within the Citadel. Scrapfly, sticking young fly born and grown in surface to the slab. Foul creatures burst to solid servitude. Their plight invokes no sympathy for me. Now that is cool. Guardfly starves over into the slab, bearing a hooked long pin. The smell from these jails overwhelms my senses. I strongly doubt they have ever thought to bathe. I don't think they could have bathed in the first place that will remotely clean them. Wardenfly, heavy, hairy jailer responsible for capturing sinners and punishing prisoners. Driftlin, gentle glider of Mount Flay, and Carl, allow it to resist even the most cutting cold. If only I could have that. Modded. Frightened creature formed from cold shard. If shadowed, it will quickly reform. Servitor Ignum. Small council built by Rero's past, brought to life through silk runes threaded within. Though the Reverse has long since passed from Falloom, its servant still performs its function. Widow. Crazed fanatic able to guide Falloom's haunted silk by music played upon it. Her body seems a warrior's, but her mask has been forcibly removed, and her own silk was bound useless by her heavy pins lodged through her spine. Yike. Ow. Laced. Manic fan, so who delights in manic fan, so that delights in battle. Okay, that's open now. Might as well make sure that I have the bench. Some rosaries. Mossberry. Alright, what's in here? Apple of the Wanderer. Random rosaries. Sus. It's definitely a mini boss. boss that I can actually defeat. And just drop here. Claim. Yes. Give me. Crest of the Wanderer. Swiftly, nimbly, with short, precise strikes. Chains as open the crest menu of the screen while resting on the bench. Alright. Kind of like me without the needle, honestly. Like, kind of the same energy.
Torotano.
I see you don't open up the great dome gate back there, and without even asking my permission. Feeling curious, were you?
Buenera.
There was a vast grave beyond. I assume most bugs die climbing the paths, but it seems many fell before the trek had barely commenced. Aye, lots of lives to beasts, or to lock turn rotten. Others were simply formed to frail. At least those prior souls can last together. Death, their eternal promise for their eternal pain. Eventually, it claims all of them. What do you... Fairies, do you still haunt them, do you? My request is granted, but it's clear that more needed more. Bring more blossoms here. Yes, we will trade precious berries for fresh berries.